Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing good. So today I'm gonna talk about my visa timeline and how I prepared for IELTS. So I still remember that time when I was waiting for my visa result, and all I would do at that moment would be to look up on YouTube others' visa timeline and would just see what the trend is like. I every next day would constantly look, for students' profile, as in who all have got their visa accepted and who all have got their visa rejected, what's their educational background, and for what specific course had they applied for. So, whenever you would be applying for your visa and you'd be waiting for the same, or you are waiting for your visa already, you would be able to relate with me. This feeling hits different when others are receiving their visa and you just don't know anything. You would be expecting your visa soon, or you would be just having no idea that what's gonna happen. So yes, in around a year back, I was in the same position wherein I was just waiting for my visa, and I was just looking here and there for others news, whether they are receiving their visa or not, and what's the trend like. So I know that feeling. I can relate. Now, without wasting much time, let me share my visa timeline. Here it is. So on 28th August, I gave my IELTS exam. Then on 10th September, I applied to college. So I had applied for this social service worker program in Sheridan College. And on 22nd October, I received my offer letter from Sheridan College. So almost after 45 days, I got my offer letter from Sheridan College. Then on 29th November, I applied for visa. And guys, I had applied for Jan intake. Yes, on 29th November, I applied for Jan intake. I know it was not the best decision. It was definitely not the right decision. But then for some reason, I was like, even though I know it's clearly mentioned on IRCC's website that it takes approximately 3 months in order for you to get your visa. And clearly, I had only 1 month time, right? 1 month gap for the intake. But I was like, I am not gonna wait for main intake. I do not want to go for main intake, and I'm definitely not waiting for September intake. By the time I have the option to apply for Jan intake, I'm gonna take my chances, because I had heard that there have been times wherein people have received their visa within a week as well. So I was like, what if I get this lucky as well, right? You never know. So I was like, fingers crossed, we'll see what would happen. Eventually, if I won't be getting my visa for Jan intake, then we'll go for another intake. But whatsoever, I am going for Jan intake. No matter what, I'm gonna do it. Everyone was convincing me to either go for May intake or September intake, but I was like, no, I'm gonna stick to Jan intake. So we'll see. Let's see. Right? So yeah, on 29th November, I applied for visa. And unfortunately, I did not get my visa on time. But there's a story, and here it is. So I got my visa on 29th Feb. And if you are aware, if you're applying for Jan intake, then your classes get started from 10th January onwards, right? And because I had got my visa on 26th Feb, so there was no point that I would be going ahead with the Jan intake. But there's a catch. Now, at that point, when I had, applied for college, it was during this COVID time, right? Wherein colleges, they were still virtual. So luckily for me, I had the option to continue with virtual classes, which I did. So I took virtual classes for a while, and the deferment date for my course was around 11th Feb or 15th Feb, if I'm not wrong. So I was like, by the time I have this deferment date, I'm gonna wait until that to get my visa. If I won't get my visa by that date, then obviously I'll go for deferment. And what happened with me is, eventually I did not get my visa by 15th Feb. So I ended up going for deferment. Now, it was clearly mentioned in that email from a college that if you're sending an email stating you want to, defer your course, you will no longer be enrolled in the winter term. And since I had sent that email, so I was like, okay, fine, I am no longer enrolled in the winter term, so there's no point for me to take these online classes, right? What's the point? Why would I take these online classes when I'm not going for this intake? So I stopped taking my online classes. I was doing so well though while I was taking my online classes, and we used to have these online quizzes. One of the subjects that I had was psychology core concepts, and I loved that subject. I was even getting good grades in all the quizzes, but unfortunately I had to drop studying that since I was not getting my visa, and I was not going for that intake, so there was no point for me to continue with the classes, so I stopped taking those classes. Now, after sending that email stating that I would like to defer my course, after 2 weeks I got a reward from college stating that unfortunately we could not accommodate your deferment request since the next intake is full. So you have two options: either you go for January 2023, that means after a year, or go for a different course for the next available intake. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm definitely not gonna wait for a year. What I'll do is I'll take a different course for September intake. But so obviously I chose one of these courses that they were offering. I went ahead for HR since I am definitely into HR as well. Now after 2 days they reported that we have these many courses in HR, which one would you like to go for? Please reply within 2 days. So again, I chose one of the HR courses, and after sending that email on 26th Feb, I got my visa. And I was like, damn, what do I do? I was having mixed emotions at that point because I was like, I've just sent an email that I want to go for a different course, and now I have got my visa for the course for which I had applied for. I was like, what do I do now? I had no idea. And I was like, everyone, my dad, my agent, my sister, mama, everyone was saying that go ahead, go for the social service worker course. It's fine if you have missed these many classes. Now you have got your visa, you should go for it. Don't change your mind. Ask them that you don't want deferment. Ask your college that you do not want deferment and you would like to continue with social service worker. But I was like, no way. I mean, my midterms are about to be there. I have not taken classes. If at all I'll continue with social service worker, then my academics will get ruined. I mean, my graph would get so low. I don't want to do it. I'm finally starting my studies and I don't want a downfall right at the beginning. So I was like, I'm definitely not going for it. But then everyone was pushing me and they were like, not everyone gets their visa approved. And now that you have got your visa approved, go for it. Because guys, my background, my profile was really complicated. It was really hard for me to get a visa. And now that I had fortunately got my visa, I was so confused because I did not want to mess up with my academics, but then I had no other option at the same time. But anyways, what I did, I asked my college, as in I sent an email stating that I have just got my visa, so I would like to cancel my deferment and I would like to continue with social service worker. Within 5 minutes, I got an email from them stating that we would love to accommodate your request and you can continue with winter term. And I was like, what? That's it? Now, this is the moment wherein I am having these mixed emotions because I'm neither happy nor am I sad because I just don't know. Now I'd have to start packing and I'd have to book my flight to go to Canada. But at the same time, my midterms are either in next week or right after 10 days and I had not taken a single class. What do I do now? I have not studied. I have missed these many assignments worth 20% or maybe 15%. What would I do? I was like, I started crying. You won't believe, in those 2 weeks I lost my weight. I don't even remember how much did I lose, but then I had lost a good amount of weight. I was just crying those days because I could not take that pressure, wherein I'm about to leave my homeland, and then at the same time I'm having this pressure wherein I want to do well in my academics because I'm starting this new journey, but nothing's going in my favor. So everything was so bad for me. I can't even tell you what I was going through at that moment. But whatsoever it is, I sent quite many emails to my professors, explaining my situation and asking them to, give me some time to do my assignments, which I have missed, and please provide me with an extension for the midterms that I have missed again, right? So I gave few of my midterms while I was there in India. And after landing in Canada also, I gave my midterms, I mean the remaining ones. So that's that. Now here's the funny part. On 26th Feb, I got my visa, and on 26th March, I had my flight from India to Toronto right after a month. So within that month, I was just grinding. All I was doing was studying, doing my pending assignments, which I had missed because of deferment, and was studying for my midterm. I just had 2 months that it was getting really hard for me to manage everything, but eventually I did manage everything. So for me, it was indeed a roller coaster ride. But yes, this is what my visa timeline was. And now when we talk about IELTS, so I had scored 7 band. Now before I go in detail, let me talk about Cambly, who's the sponsor of my video today. For those of you who are working on their spoken English, this is the right platform for you. Many of us are able to read and write in English or have learned English in school, but we were not taught how to be conversant. Becoming fluent in English is all about practice, and one of the best ways to become a confident speaker is by immersing yourself in conversation with native speakers. Cambly is one such platform where you can do that. Some of you may have heard that Cambly provides one-on-one English classes, but now Cambly has launched group classes to make practicing English more affordable. It's the only learning platform that helps you practice English with native speaking tutors from the UK, USA. In group classes, there will be one tutor and up to 2 more students like you from countries like Japan, India, Korea, etc., who are on a similar journey of becoming a fluent speaker. Every class will have exercises and conversation around a particular topic like culture, news, etc. It's the perfect solution for those who are looking to get over their fear of speaking English in personalized, friendly, and non-judgmental environment and get exposed to a global culture with students from across the world. Make the most of the New Year launch offer with discounts up to 45% for long-term plans, valid only for this month. So like I had mentioned earlier, I scored 7 band in IELTS. Only in reading I had got 6.5, but apart from that, in listening, writing and speaking, I scored 7 band. So overall, my IELTS band was 7 band. And I only had 2 weeks to prepare for my IELTS exam because the moment I booked my date, I booked the first date that came up, and it was right after 2 weeks. So I was like, fine, I'll go for it. Now the only problem was I was so confused whether or not I should go for classes or not, because I was just not aware of this whole process, right? So I was considering to take IELTS classes, but then I gave it a thought and I was like, listen, IELTS exam is just to check whether or not you would be able to converse in English and whether or not you would be able to understand what the other person is speaking in English, right? So why would I go for, English classes when my whole life I have been in that environment wherein we speak English? So there's no point. So for those of you who were in English medium school, guys, you don't have to take IELTS classes unless you feel like there's a need to. But as per me, I was in English medium school, so I didn't find a need to go for IELTS classes, right? all you'd have to do is, I'm aware that speaking and writing are two different things. In school, all we do is write everything in English. However, we might not converse in English as such with our teachers or maybe with our peers. But now I'm pretty sure everyone gets that environment, but obviously it's not the same for everyone, right? So if you do not have that environment wherein, that not everyone speaks in English, then what you can do is read newspaper and then converse in English with your friends, or if not, then randomly talk to strangers in English. That will help you. And then, like I mentioned, there are apps like Camly which you can use to build that confidence of speaking in English, because you would be able to speak in English if and only when you have an environment. You can definitely go ahead and read newspapers, but after a point you have to have that environment or have to have a person with whom you can converse in English, right? So that's the major thing for me. Again, I had that environment. I was in aviation for 3 years, right? So it was a different environment, and obviously would not speak in any other language than English. So for everyone it's different. If I'm talking about myself, so in terms of preparing for IELTS exam, I honestly did nothing as such. One of my friends who is already here in Canada, he had shared some materials with me, wherein he had shared some vocabulary that you are to use. Now here's this thing: people say don't use a word, as in you should be having a vast vocabulary. You're not to use a word every next time. So if at all you're using people, so the next time when you're mentioning it, maybe say individual, or maybe use the word mass. Don't just repeat the word. I believe it's more like, if at all you have a good vocabulary, so it's even better. So if at all you can work on that, that would be great. Go for connecting words, as in go for however, therefore, hence. These are the words that you should use. But again, it depends on you. You know yourself better, you know where you are to work on. So just focus on that, and keep in mind grammar. You would not want to make those sentences which makes no sense. So yeah, it's all about knowing a format and following that. So yeah, all I did was I worked a bit on my vocabulary, and I randomly gave myself some topics and I started writing on it, because in the writing section you'd have to write on certain topics. So obviously you'd want to work on your vocabulary and you'd want to write on random topics which can come, or can come on your exam. So just that, you should be able to write in any topic, and that should be good. In the listening part, obviously whatever you are on the listening part, you'll have to practice. So there would be some practice test on internet, on Google. So just practice that should be enough. I don't think if there's any tip for that from my end for that one. And apart from that, for speaking, again, try not to repeat the words. Just be fluent. That matters. Don't make any grammatical mistakes. That's what I would say, because I'm someone who goes by the grammar, but not everyone does, right? So for me, I would say not go by grammar. But if you don't really go by the grammar, so maybe that's your take on it. But yeah, for me, I would say don't make any grammatical mistakes. And I mean, yeah, obviously in general, don't make any grammatical mistakes, because you would get your marks deducted there. And try not to repeat words if at all you can. Try not to repeat sentences, because there are times when we are not confident, we tend to repeat our sentences or the last word that we had said. So try not to do it, like be that much conscious. And yeah, you should be good. For the reading part though, there would be these unseen passages and poems wherein you'd have to read. I'm pretty sure you would have done that in your school time as well, wherein in your English test you would be having certain paragraphs, unseen paragraphs or unseen passages. I'm not sure what we used to call them, but I believe it's unseen passage. And based on the reading, you would have to answer a few questions. So it's the same here as well. Based on the reading, based on that unseen passage and poem, you would have to do the matching thing, wherein you just have to match and you'd have to state true and false. So these are the things that comes on your test. Just work on that. Do the practice test, which would be there on Google. There are many free practice tests, so you can just do that, and that should be enough. You don't really have to take any classes for that. But yes, if you, because obviously you know yourself better, right? So if you feel you need class, then maybe you should give it a try. But if you're someone who has been or who has been or who has gone to this English medium school, so I don't think you have to. You just have to work on your speaking, and you can do so by conversing in English with your friends. Maybe just go for apps like Cambly, wherein you can actually converse in English with people who are trained and who are native speakers. So that should help. I hope this video and my experience would help you in any way. So yeah, I just wanted to share my experience, and you can just comment down your comments, feelings, anything, and I would be more than happy to go through them. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm gonna see you very soon in my next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.